Ahoy! The Legacy of Crassus event in New World is out, and it's not really what we expected. There are some interesting items that we can talk about, but one of the things that really stood out about this event was this particular part here was announced as a special craft mod that can be used to add powerful effects to crafted items, with a 25% chance to get this once per day. I talked about how this could potentially mean that this would allow us to add a third effect to an already crafted item. Some people speculated it might be just a perk mod that allows you to add luck to an item, but as far as we are able to find out so far, it was neither of these things. Instead, this particular aspect appears to have been just completely horrible wording. It seems that by a special craft mod that can add powerful effects, they just mean you have a chance to get a craft mod that you can just buy off the trading post for a couple cents. It appears to quite literally be a 25% chance to get any random craft mod, unless we have the unluckiest player population in the entire world and just not a single person has gotten the drop so far. Once again, a very clear issue with communication and wording here, but let's not dwell on that and actually look at the rest of the event. As I said, I think this is more of a filler event to just carry us over the weeks until they are ready with a bigger update, so I'm not too mad that otherwise there isn't anything super special happening with this. It's just something to kill some time, and that's how we'll treat this. The event itself works like any other world boss. You basically have to go to wherever the boss is spawning, which will probably be told to you in recruitment. Then you have to fight these bosses. Part of this fight is to take down some flags in the beginning and then fight all the three main bosses at once. I'm assuming that there's actually a downside to having them stand too close to each other, with the signifier probably buffing the other ones, but with how quickly they're getting killed at the moment and how many players are zerging them, I was unable to confirm that because they die in a couple of seconds really. What is different about this event is that you can only get the named items once per day. The event notes also stated players are guaranteed to receive every reward after defeating them 8 times. Kill them 10 times a day just to be absolutely sure. You definitely do not get the rewards after 8 kills on the same day. So you will have to kill them 8 times across 8 days to actually get these rewards. I assumed that was the case, but I wasn't quite sure, so I wanted to check back. So yeah, you definitely need to space it out over 8 days. After the initial kill, you get a random item and a couple of pots. Now the random item has a 90% chance to just be a weapon or armor cache with random loot, and a 10% chance to be a named item. I have found so far from my runs one named item that was from a specific mob in Brimstone Sands, so those specific named drops seem to generally drop, but also one bind on equip named item from the global loot pool, so that is included as well. I would argue it's not worth farming them for that though, given the relatively low chance. From the main chest you get 500 Umbral Shards, 1 to 3 Obsidian Gypsum, though apparently some people have also not received any, though I'm not sure if that's maybe because they already got Obsidian Gypsum from something else, and a legendary named item. So let's have a look at these items. The first one is Vesuvius, a fire staff with Mortal Refreshment, Empowering Fireball, and Enchanted. With these perks, it is worth keeping in mind that we are on the verge of a major patch that may actually bring some weapon changes as well, so maybe these perks will be better or worse after the patch. Looking at it like this, I think it's at least a decent one when it comes to the perks. What is weird that there's a sided Cruel gem on it. I don't think Cruel is particularly good on fire staffs most of the time, but well, it is at least a decent fire staff for someone just starting out, but nothing great. Then we have the Heavy Glove Fists of Decimus, which has Strength, Refreshing Ward, Resilient, and Empowering Breaker. Also, at least decent Resilient, Refreshing Ward are relatively in demand. Empowering Breaker, not so much. Wrath of Decimus is a Great Axe, also coming with a Cruel gem once again. Not quite sure what that's about, but otherwise actually a pretty decent one. There's Enfeebling Maelstrom, one of the few perks that's actually worth having on your weapon. Thwarting Strikes, and Plate Crits. For an ideal bruiser or tanky Great Axe, I would like to have Enfeebling Maelstrom, Thwarting Strikes, and then either Refreshing Move or Chain, but I think Plate Crits is definitely not horrible to have. Great Axe tend to crit a lot and anti-heal is generally undervalued, so I do believe that this is actually a solid option and probably one of the better items from this event. Cuirass of Decimus is a heavy chest with full strength as well. This comes with Resilient, Refreshing Ward, and Invigorated. Again, 2 perks that are pretty good and pretty sought after, and then Invigorated kinda not so sought after, but at least okay. So again, for a new player or someone who doesn't have a best in slot heavy set yet, There's definitely one that is worth picking up. Also, it seems to look pretty nice in the card art at least. Sagittar of Lucanus is a bow, again with a sided cruel gem. I don't know what's going on with these cruel gems, but at least it's sided, I suppose. With keen, vorpal, and keenly jagged. While it may look okay at first glance, I think this would actually be beaten by just having an attunement keenly jagged bow, which would be super cheap to craft, so I don't think this actually has that much value. Keen is just not that valuable on a bow at the moment. Hoplites Great Blade is a new greatsword with punishing cruel as well, keen, vicious, and relentless freedom. This is just bad, don't use this, there's no reason to. Vicious on greatswords is generally not that good because the base crit multiplier is very weak. In PvE you would rather have a bane weapon, and yeah, relentless freedom is better off being on your arm anyways. Galea of Lucanus is a medium headpiece with full con that comes with shirking fortification, critical retribution, and refreshing evasion. Not really worth talking about since it doesn't have resilient. Maybe worth talking about next patch if the resilient nerf goes through and affects medium as well. For the Hobnailed boots of Lucanus, I couldn't find an English version yet. I'm assuming this is 25 constitution, vigor, shirking fortification, and refreshing evasion. As such, same thing applies here, not any value on this patch, maybe on the next. All in all, I think it's primarily worth farming this event if you're interested in the heavy armor or the great axe. Other than that, not really that much in there. I guess it's a nice bonus in terms of the Umbral Shards and Obsidian Gypsum though, and it's fairly easy to get done because you really just log in to the event in a couple of seconds if people keep farming it as quickly as they do right now, and then you're just done with it. I don't mind it as a bit of a time waste time, just very frustrated about the communication that they had regarding the craft mod. Now, there is another change in this patch that I briefly wanted to talk about. Bit of a problem with the new mechanic that came up. I think Prasinos 333 was one of the first ones, if not the first ones, to talk about this. XR also mentioned this to me. So what's happening here is that you cannot drag items that are locked from your inventory into your storage. However, there is a workaround here, and I wanted to let you know in case you aren't aware. If you want to move a locked item from your inventory to your storage, you can just shift left click it instead, and it'll still be transferred. However, there is something else about the locking that you have to be careful with. If you lock an item in your inventory and it's bind on equip, it's currently not properly considered bind on equip in the system. It's like kind of pseudo bound to you. What this means is if you double click to equip the item, it will skip the usual check telling you, hey, this item isn't bound to you, do you want to equip it? And will just equip it right away and bind it to you. So if you have any legendary items that you are looking to sell that you're not looking to bind, then I would recommend not locking them, because you still have that salvage lock prevention anyways, because they're legendary items, and that way you can avoid accidentally equipping them and, well, not being able to sell them anymore afterwards. If you have any items that were bind on equip and that you have locked, then you can just unlock them again and remove the bind on equip again. So it's not like it's permanently locked unless you actually equip it on your character. It wouldn't be a new world patch if there wasn't also a new bug, eh? The next days we'll talk about some Throne and Liberty news, and also hopefully about the PTR content that I'm hoping we'll get to see this week or early next week, either way, at some point in February. If you'd like to see that, consider subscribing and clicking the bell. Thanks to my patrons for supporting this video, and thank you for watching. SLOTH, out.